friends, and welcome to a special episode of the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Turilli Smith, and today I'm thrilled to present a unique collection of some of my favorite moments from the past episodes. In this episode, I'll be sharing highlights from 5 insightful conversations with incredible guests who have inspired us with their wisdom on giving, both in charitable ways and in their everyday lives. Each guest brings a unique perspective on how to make a difference in the world around us, whether that's through acts of kindness at home, innovative approaches in their careers, or impactful charitable initiatives. As we revisit these segments, you'll hear stories that illuminate the power of living and giving from the heart and the profound impact it can have, not only on those we help, but also on our own lives. From heartfelt antidotes to practical advice, each moment showcases how giving is woven into the fabric of our daily existence. I hope these snippets serve as a reminder that we all have the ability to contribute positively to our communities and the world at large, no matter how big or small our actions may be. Okay, let's get started. My very first conversation here on the Savvy Giving Gal podcast was with health and sexuality educator Narda Skov. This particular segment from this interview really stood out to me. Narda emphasized the importance of openly talking to your children about your family values around sex. What struck me most is how she explains that these conversations don't have to be complicated. It's about offering our kids the guidance they truly need. Hearing this was a reminder in my own life on how vital it is for us as parents to step into this role with confidence and care. I hope this resonates with you too.
No matter what, if you have never talked about this subject before, or no one ever spoke to you as a parent before about sex or sexuality, I promise you, even if you bumble through those first few sentences and just say, I don't really know what I'm talking about right now, but I know that I'm supposed to do this as your parent. Yes. I just want you to know that I love you and I care about what decisions you make. And I might not have all the answers, but here is what I'm going to say to you. And it can be in the car, so you're not looking at them face to face, because that can be really difficult because it's a very vulnerable moment, right? I don't like to say cringy or anything like that, because I like to say, because we all have these emotions of feeling embarrassed, but what we never want is for our kids to feel shame.
Yes.
And we never, as parents, want to have our kids feel that shame around what could be a very private behavior. Yes. And there are different family values around, do you have sex before marriage? Do you have a boyfriend before you're 18 or a girlfriend before you're 18? Or do you get to go on a date alone at 14 or 16? So there's lots of different values around that, and that's up to the parents.
Right.
But the kids are always listening. And one of my favorite examples is in the classroom. I do an exercise, which is an agree, disagree. And so it's presenting them, and they're starting to think critically about these bigger decisions that have to do with their health. So I would be willing to try a puff of a cigarette, if my friend offered it. Agree, disagree. So they can begin to think, no, I don't think I would. Or maybe I would, because then I would know I hate it and I'll never try it again, right? So beginning those critical thinking skills. But my favorite question is, my parents think it's okay to have sex before marriage. And most of the questions that I ask, they either go to agree, disagree, and they feel very strongly. The majority of kids stand in the middle of the classroom and they say, I have no idea. And I say,
really?
I say, well, why not? And they say, my parents have never talked to me about that, or my parents have never said. And then every now and again, I'll get a girl who says, oh, my dad, excuse me. My dad said, I can't have sex until he dies or until I'm at least 35 years old. And so what that says to me is that they're listening. And what they really want is guidance. Even if it's as simple as, I want you to wait until you find somebody you're in love with. That's enough. Or I want you to wait until you at least go to college. Those simple words are enough to have that child say, yes, my parents have said something to me, or my parents care about this, or just a little inkling of a value, right? That's what they need, right? Is to say, I'm part of a community. People care about me and care if I'm making these healthy decisions. And here's the start of how you make that healthy decision is, no, thanks. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Or asking for consent. Is this okay? Just those simple things, but they are listening.
I love that.
Yeah, they are listening.
I have to remember that.
Yes. They are always listening, right? And your son's going to remember, like, my mom tried. That was so uncomfortable. Maybe she's not the person that's going to give me this information, but I know that she cares.
Yes.
And I know that she wants this for me.
Yes. And I was really trying to force it. I was like, we can talk about sex. We can talk about these things, but it just in that moment, wasn't happening. Yeah. And then hopefully by having you in our home, he saw that, well, okay, we can't do it, but I'll always give you someone or give you the tools so that you have the knowledge in your life. Yeah. And along those lines, we had something happen in my daughter's class where the parent thought that she was going to be able to stay. And we had to kindly tell her that it was a safe space and that she wasn't able to stay. And she got very upset.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? Although I did watch you and you did a wonderful job, but also she was concerned with what was going to be taught and whether you were going to put your values on it or how it was going to be presented.
Yeah.
And so how do you manage parents' expectations in terms of that? How then
great question.
The information is
great
delivered?
question, because parents are the primary educators of all of their children. And there is no place in my teaching that is going to override what a parent says. It is up to that parent to guide that child, to give them that information, and they are their primary educators. Period. End of story. My job is to come in and deliver fact-based, evidence-based, age and developmentally appropriate information for that young person so they can make those healthy decisions. And they may not have the information and they may not even know what the question is that they need to ask. They may say, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know why I'm getting cramps. I don't know what other products to use if I'm getting my period. I don't know what that means when somebody's asking me to do something or pressuring me to do something. They don't know, so that's the beauty of being in a larger group. But if a parent does have concerns, I am always open to having parents call me to discuss what their concerns are. And that, my values are my values. I have them with my own children, but I think I'm pretty centered in giving kids what I think will help them make those better decisions. And they will ultimately make those decisions themselves. But I think especially in schools or in the private classes, I'll either do a Zoom with parents and have them see, that I don't, like have horns and a tail or something, or meet with them individually, right? Yes. And I think it's a little, and I'm thinking of the language now, like this is a safe space. It's not to imply that your home is not a safe space or with a parent is not a safe space, but that it's a safe space for the kid to be able to ask any question that they have without getting in trouble or without wondering if this is the wrong question to ask. That somehow morally, ethically, whatever that kid is asking, the parents are going to, think that it belongs in some other place. And like, oh my God, why is my kid asking that? Like, does that mean this or does that mean that? Right. So that's the only thing I mean by a safe space.
The incredible founder of Vitality Bowls took her daughter's life-threatening food allergies and turned them into a mission to help others. By creating a safe space where families can enjoy meals without worrying about allergens, Tara transformed a challenge into an inspiring success. What I love most about this segment is how Tara shares her fearless commitment to follow through on her vision. Tara's encouragement to be bold and courageous in chasing your ideas is something that resonates deeply with me. I know her words will lift you up and inspire you to pursue your own creative passions with the same fearless determination. So let's go back. You could have just opened your Vitality Bowls one store and you could have just gone on your merry way and then, enjoyed and been successful with one store. But instead, you decided you were going to franchise this business and now you have over 70. Can we talk about why and
why did I do that to myself?
Well, maybe. Or, what is it in you that decided, no, I'm not just going to stop at one store.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this movement nationwide.
I think something that I lack is fear.
Yeah.
And that's what prevents, I think, most people from coming up with an idea and executing.
Mm-hmm.
My secret name for myself is the executor.
Oh,
right?
I love this. Okay, listeners, I had no idea. That was her secret name. Now that's why I'm going to call her that all the time.
So I'm an executor. So if I think of something or my husband thinks of something or my kids think of something, it's my job to execute, right? I am the executor. I will follow through. And so I would just, obviously Vitality Bowls was started organically, right? But I had owned my own other business. Vitality Bowls is actually my third business that I've started. And so for me, I wasn't afraid to go forward. And I think that's what's holds a lot of people back, especially women, right? Stay-at-home moms, women that have families. They have the pressure of raising a family, but maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to go out and do something. And I just think it's so important that women can figure out a way to do both. Like it's hard to have a 9-to-5. And I couldn't have a 9-to-5. It was important for me to be a mom. I was 5 months pregnant with my son when I started my first location, and my daughter was 19 months old.
Yeah.
5 months later, we opened our second one, which it just, again, organically fell into our lap. A landlord reached out to us and, oh my God, we're going to open a second one. Okay. And then a year and a half later, we opened our third one. Again, it was like we had customers coming from an hour away asking us to open closer. So we did that. And then we were going to open, okay, let's open 10, and then it was like, wait a minute, we can't do this. And that's when we went down the franchise journey and had to learn a lot and educate and surround ourselves with the right people and the right team. But we had an idea and we weren't afraid to do it. And I also needed to create flexibility because I am a mom. And I would just encourage all women to do that. If they're going to create a business, make sure you have that flexibility because moms don't want to give up being a mom. We don't want to sacrifice our family. And when you start a business, yes, you're going to sacrifice because there's a time commitment, but you need that flexibility. So being an entrepreneur for me has allowed me to have that flexibility with my kids. So I can still be a mom, I can still be a wife, I can still be a businesswoman. I don't have a lot of Tara time. That's where I love cooking.
Ask, how do you manage all of that and still stay true to yourself, still know yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have some of the best friends in the world, you included. You're like my bestie. I love you. I treasure my friendships. I am lucky enough to have a community of women in my life that are smart, strong, passionate, caring, loving, kind, active, into health. We share different passions together. We share hobbies. And so I have to try to create Tara time by going on walks and hikes with my friends and having lunches and, having that time to myself. But cooking, weirdly enough, is like my downtime. Like my husband will come in and I'm cooking and he starts talking to me. I'm like, no, I am in the zone. Do not talk to me. This is my time.
And he reaps the benefits of it. He gets to
for
eat
sure.
it,
he walks out fast. He's like, he sees what I'm making. He's like, okay, I'm out.
We're out.
But that's like, some people meditate. Yeah. I'm not a meditator. I don't, I am busy from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed. I'm not like, I'm just going to kill an hour here. I am always doing something, and that's how I can juggle and manage being a businesswoman, being a mom, being a wife, having Tara time.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I just prioritize my family's health.
Yeah.
Right? Health being the priority.
Right.
And trying to have fun. We got to have fun in our life, right?
Yes, and we do have fun.
Yes, we do have
fun together. So, no, I think fun is a huge part of life. I think female friendships too, if I can go back to that, just because, ladies, you need Taras in your life. Meaning,
and Melissa's.
Meaning, thank you, but meaning women who lift you up.
Yes.
Like women who, you come with an idea. Tara doesn't yes me to death. You don't. You don't say, oh yeah, you should just do it. No, you come with honest feedback, but you're always like, we will figure out how to get this done. And it just comes with such positivity and love. And there's never any competition. It's always like, how can I make Tara the best Tara? And she does the same with me. And I would just encourage everyone to stop spending time with people who don't do that and start spending more time with people who do. And I think that comes with age. We are not old, but there have been many decades of my life where, you know, the priority in the friendship is a little off. Yeah. For whatever reason. And I think as I am getting a little older, that's a non-negotiable for me, that every woman that I spend time with not only has to be the best selves that they are, but they want me to be my best self too. So sorry for that little tangent, but it is so, so important, you know, that you have those people in your life.
I agree. And, you know, surrounding yourself by really amazing women makes you a really amazing woman, right? Yeah. You are who your peers are, right? And that's why we want our kids to find the right group and be surrounded by the right kids growing up, right? It's same thing for women, you know, and I would encourage women to look at their friendships and focus on those that where the women are positive, like you said, and like we support each other, we uplift each other. And, you know, I would just encourage women to want to aspire to like make their life wonderful, right? Like we have one life.
Yes.
And so as we're going through our day to day, and if it's like, God, I really want to do this, or I wish I could do this, like I'm the kind of person where I'm like, okay, I want to inspire people to eat healthier. So I'm going to start cooking and I'm just going to show my cooking on Instagram. And now all my friends are like, oh my God, I made this. Oh my God, this was amazing. Oh my God, you're inspiring me to eat healthier. And it's like, I love that. Like I want to inspire my friends. I want to lift them up. I want to help them in any way I can. And I would encourage everyone to have friendships like that. Yes. Not that I'm the perfect friend.
No,
I'm just saying, and you do too. You do the same for me.
Well,
you're so supportive.
Walk the walk. You know, that's the thing is like you need to in your life, you need to walk the walk. And when you start to do it, you feel better.
Yes.
It's the same with philanthropy for me. I mean, I'm not the greatest cook, but I cook very healthy, very plain. You know, it's my husband and children love to go to your house because it's, you know, it's a little bit more elevated, cooking. But,
you're better than you think.
But thank you. But really when it comes to philanthropy in my life, I try to really live in a way that represents, you know, helping others and giving back and just showing the people around me that I'm not just saying it, that I'm doing it as well. And I think when you enjoy what you're doing and you really mean and you're authentic in what you're doing, it's easier than people think it is. You know?
I agree. And you can do small acts of kindness in so many ways, whether it's just complimenting your friend or saying hi to a stranger, right? Or encouraging your kids. You know, so many times we're, you know, with our kids, oh, you're not doing this. Oh, you're not doing this. Or, oh my God, come on, you're going to do better. Or did, you know, whatever. We have to be positive for our kids as well.
One of my secret loves is skincare. I absolutely cherish the 20 minutes of quiet time I have in the morning when my kids are still asleep and my husband leaves for work. I wash my face and apply my skincare while listening to podcasts, music, mantras, and sometimes just in silence. It is the little bit of me time before the hectic day starts. eCosmetics offers the best in beauty from the biggest names in beauty, all in one place. They have great prices, exceptional service, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. I love being able to find my favorites all in one place. Something that is also super important to me is when I shop brands that I buy from a brand that believes in helping others and impacting communities. eCosmetics participates in charitable efforts through the platform Good Shop, where a portion of the purchases made through their site contributes to various causes. This allows customers to support charities while shopping for beauty products. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all of your beauty needs, you should check out eCosmetics. Use my code SAVVY25, that's SAVVY SAVVY25 at checkout for 25% off. I'll also provide links in the show notes. Now, let me share an inspiring excerpt from my interview with Tiana Bowman. A 2-time cancer survivor, Tiana truly embodies the essence of Savvy Giving Gal. During her challenging journey, she launched her platform, Positive Outlook, where she empowers women to navigate the menopause transition through education and community. Tiana transforms her struggles into a source of strength, encouraging others to embrace this phase as an opportunity for personal growth and self-improvement.
I was actually diagnosed with invasive ductal breast cancer when I was 34, and I had a local recurrence when I was 39. And in both of those situations, I found it via a self-breast exam. So I'm pretty confident that early detection really did save my life and was important across, my whole course of treatment. And so I went through all of the, traditional treatment elements, chemo, double mastectomy, radiation, all of those things. But because my breast cancer was hormone receptive, which means that it basically thrived and grew in an environment where I was producing estrogen, my oncology team wisely advised me to start early menopause by suppressing my ovaries. And so what that essentially meant was that I was no longer producing estrogen naturally. And at the time when they said you're going to start early menopause so we can prevent any recurrence or a tougher prognosis, I thought, okay, fine, bring it. Let's do it. No big deal. And I started the process. But 2 months after I started suppressing my ovaries, I was going through really extreme symptoms of menopause. And it kind of rocked my foundation. And what was really challenging is that over the course of 2 months, my body was experiencing what most women experience over the course of a decade. So it was really tough to reconcile. And at the time, this was just 2 years ago, there were only a handful of conversations happening around menopause. So the symptoms felt really isolating, especially after finishing cancer treatment and having such a supportive community, rallying behind me. I felt like complaining about menopause, something that most women hadn't really complained of, my mother included, around, or outside of hot flashes, just seemed like the wrong thing to do. And so I didn't really say that much. And I kind of muscled through it. And the only thing that really got me through that time was knowing that, okay, the reason why I'm having all these physical and mental changes is because I'm suppressing my ovaries. But like I said, even with that, the rug kind of felt like it was pulled from under me. And so then I started to think, how do other women feel who are starting to experience these symptoms and they don't even know that this is a part of the perimenopause journey, that can really be life-altering. And so I started to learn more. And the more that I learned, the more I was like, how are women not talking about anything but menopause? Because
I no one other people around me ever talk about menopause.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that we can spend a third to even half of our lives, depending on the onset of it, postmenopausal.
That's crazy.
It is. Yeah. It is. And so I think when we go through the process and we don't understand some of the health changes that come along with it, we may miss out on making really life-altering changes that could improve our overall longevity and just the experience overall. And so the more I started to think about that, and the fact that, our cardiovascular health changes, our bone health changes, the more I thought, I need to have this conversation with everyone in my immediate orbit and make sure that we're all prepared for what's to come. And so then I created the platform called Positive Outlook. And so that, essentially was my outlet for sharing my survivorship journey, giving, monthly peeks into my postmenopausal life. I started to get really passionate about also doing breast exams and talking about how to do that, and using the platform to teach the best ways for doing that.
I'm excited to share my favorite part of my interview with Carrie Manis, the co-founder of Turkey on the Table. Carrie's passion for gratitude and tradition really shines through in her work. She reminds us that the incredible power we hold when we choose to support brands that give back to our communities. Her inspiring achievement of providing 1.6 million meals through Feeding America is a beautiful example of how one person's dedication can make a real difference. I can't wait for you to hear this. Can you speak to that collaboration?
Yes. So when we first came up with the idea that year or 14 months that it took us to launch from idea to, from concept to actual product, it was always our goal to give back. And we didn't know exactly the capacity. Obviously, having it linked with Thanksgiving, food is a natural kind of relationship. And then we started to do some kind of research on food insecurity in this country. And April and I were shocked that, a lot, when we started, we thought it was, homeless people don't have food. And then as we kind of dug further into it, just like we learned a lot about gratitude, we saw it's actually not that at all. It's elderly. It's people who work 2 jobs. It's children, many children. And so the food insecurity is people that your kids go to school with that they might not realize. Like hunger doesn't have a specific look. And I think as we've gotten involved, we've realized that more and more. And then as we were realizing we wanted to give back, obviously the pinnacle of all feeding people in the U.S. is Feeding America. And so that was the top quest for us, is somehow to get in, talk to Feeding America, even maybe 5 years down the road, they would take us. So we, when we did our launch party with Party and Kindness, we did it with the food bank of Contra Costa and Solano, which is our local food bank. We told them our idea and they were super supportive, and we're thinking we can give them, the money that we're planning on giving. And then through the help of someone we knew that knew someone that was on the board of Feeding America, said, well, we can at least get you a phone call. And so that phone call led to a partnership our very first year before we even made a turkey. I mean, we had them being made, but we didn't even have them in our possession yet. And they kind of let us waive some of their stipulations with corporate partners, knowing how small we were, because they loved our concept and loved the heart behind it and loved the gratitude piece of it. So our very first year, they agreed to be a partner with us, and we've been a partner for 10 years. And as you said earlier, I think now we're up to 1.63.
Oh, wow. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for correcting that.
Well, do you know what?
No, every meal counts.
This year we've had sales so far. So probably the latest information you had, but no, we're super proud of that. And, we wish we could do more, and we hope to continue to do more and hit 2 million and go from there. But every year, food insecurity almost gets worse, which seems crazy in the United States of America, where, we are not a third world country. And it's crazy that I think it's 1 in 7 children, so it keeps us going, especially in times where we're overwhelmed or feel exhausted by all of our to-dos. So they've been a fabulous partner, and we felt so lucky because hundreds of food banks all around America roll up through Feeding America. So anywhere where you buy a turkey, most likely there's a Feeding America food bank, in your area. Yeah. So that kind of made us feel like, first of all, our donations go further that way because they have the buying power and the corporate partnerships with the food companies. And then also we figured if we were selling nationwide, we wanted to support food banks nationwide.
Now, I want to share a special moment with you from my interview with Andy Calloway, the founder and CEO of the Nephrotic Syndrome Foundation. Her journey is a powerful reminder of how we can transform our pain into meaningful purpose. Andy inspires us with her wisdom. Your path is what you choose. And she emphasizes the importance of starting small with acts of kindness that create ripple effects. This segment truly touched my heart. Here it is.
Well, I feel like I have a responsibility. It mostly comes from the fact that I feel like I have a responsibility. I feel like this is something that is needed. These families need something. And I think I have a unique, I have a finance background. I just felt like I was in a unique position to truly make a difference. And I felt like, not that you have to have a finance background, but I just felt like I was equipped with the professional background. I was a CPA, so I felt like I had the capability to build a business plan, to understand the financial, side of doing something like this. And I feel like it is just something that needs to be done. And it is so important that someone does it. And if I just look around, I know that we will get to this point where we're starting to get the beginnings of, of growth and replicating this elsewhere. But I just feel like it needed somebody to lead that charge. And I go back to this one, I get asked this question before, and I remember someone saying to me, wow, you were chosen for this. It's like you were chosen for this. God has put this in your life for a reason. And while I truly love that, and I believe there is something to that, I also feel like your path is what you choose. You have the power to make the choice that you want. And at every instance, you get to make that choice. And so, if you're faced with a situation, you have the choice to say, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. And so then you navigate yourself into a spot where you've made the choice to do that. And it just so happens to appear that you were perfectly suited for it. But in reality, it's what you chose. And so I try to remind young people of that they have the power to make these choices and to make such a big change.
Yeah. And they do. And you know what? They need adults to tell them that, to say it out loud, because they don't believe it themselves. But if we tell them when they're young like this, that they do have the power to make those choices, then it's all up to them.
Yeah.
Then it truly is all up to them, that they take every experience, good or bad.
Right.
And they make it something, because they're capable of doing that.
Yeah, 100%.
They absolutely are capable of that. So I really hope the message is also that young people deserve that attention, because they will rise to the occasion. They really will. And communities will too. Communities will rise around people who are doing really good things.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone just remembers that when they have that choice to make.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't have to be as big as nephrotic syndrome is now.
Yeah.
I think that's also sometimes overwhelming for people, that they have to make it that big or have a camp or do it. I mean, those are all amazing, amazing things. And I do think your finance background helps. And it is it's part of who you are, and I'm sure that there are parts of your childhood maybe that also make you who you are.
And it didn't start with all those programs either.
Yes.
It started really small. So it started with our Backpacks of Hope program. So it just started with World Kidney Day. It just started with doing something. And there are 18 million different ways to get to the same spot. So, you might come through an artistic background, and you might put it, you might feel like you have this incredible passion for art. And so you chose to do something in that path.
Right.
So I feel like, we just started and we just went and saw where it was going to go. And then we started in another program. And so they started kind of one by one. They didn't start all at once. So I do think you're right. Just reminding people that doing something is better than doing nothing. Yes. And just doing something, like you were saying, just being there for someone who's going through a hard time can really be life-changing.
It can. And it really starts with small acts of kindness. Hey friends, it's Melissa. I want to talk to you about something that has been life-changing for me, therapy. I've personally used therapy, and I can tell you firsthand how powerful it is to have someone in your corner guiding you through life's challenges. That's why I'm proud that today's sponsor is BetterHelp, an online therapy service that makes it easy to get the help you or your family needs from the comfort of your own home. Whether you're struggling with stress, anxiety, or just need someone to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you. And for listeners of the Savvy Giving Gal podcast, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy when you use our link in the description. Take that step towards a healthier you because you're worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/savvy to get started today. In this episode, I sit down with my incredible partner, Shawnee Hall, co-founder of our nonprofit organization, Party and Kindness. Together, we've navigated the challenges and triumphs of building a mission-driven initiative that promotes kindness and community engagement. Shawnee shares her insights on what it truly takes to maintain a successful partnership through the ups and downs. And she opens up about the unique journey of being a mom while pursuing personal dreams and goals. Join us for a glimpse of our heartfelt conversation that highlights the power of resilience, partnership, and the importance of following your passions. I can assure all of you listening that Shawnee is such a kind-hearted human being, and I think it just comes very natural to you. You are really just a giver to all the people in your life, not just through Party and Kindness, but just the kind of woman that you are. So would you give some suggestions or some advice to other women who want to start a partnership and what that's been like with me?
She's thinking. No. I'm thinking. I feel like I work really well in a team. And I think part of it is that the giving aspect. I think I always want to help somebody. I always want to elevate somebody else or be somebody's cheerleader. I'm like my friend's biggest cheerleaders in life. And so I think, in working with somebody, though, definitely, it was a learning curve between me and you.
Yes. No. And that's why people out there, they need suggestions to get through it because we've made it 10 years.
Yes. I think the way we communicate with each other is huge. I mean, that's in any relationship. You need to communicate your feelings and you need to communicate when things go well and when things don't go so well. But I think also like we give each other a lot of grace. I think, we talk, the way we even talk is different. The way things come off is different.
Yes.
And so me knowing you, if you say something that maybe I'm like, I don't really agree with, I don't necessarily initially take it in a bad, negative way. I'm just more so, let me gain understanding for why you may think that way. And so I think that's really a big part of it because the intention behind what it is always good. Like I always think that first before anything else.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
And I hope vice versa.
True. It is true. I always know that you're coming from a place of such love and such, interest in Party and Kindness succeeding and interest in me succeeding and just us succeeding as friends. And I think that's so important as women and for the listeners that you are your friends' biggest cheerleaders and the women in your life, you stand behind them and support them and share your gifts with them. And I know that's honestly what you've done with Party and Kindness is shared all these gifts that you have with this organization. And it really wouldn't have run without both of us. Like, I think, we are extremely different people, but we share a very similar heart. And you have gifts that you give to the organization that I don't, and vice versa. And so I think that's what we have to look for when we're looking for partners in businesses or even just women in our life. People who bring the best and want the best for you or for each other. How do you think your role as a mom has influenced your personal development over the years?
Being a mom is a big part of my development. I think that, kids are little mirrors and they mirror for you what you need to work on for yourself. It's a very selfless act to have children if you really are intentional about what you want out of that relationship and that experience. And so, it can definitely be a driving force. But then you have to realize, too, that, you have to also live for yourself. And so it's that delicate balance of also still putting yourself first, regardless.
How do you think that's evolved? You know, I've known Shawnee now from our early 30s into our 40s. How do you think your perspectives has changed on that through your 30s and now being into your 40s?
Yeah, I mean, a lot has changed for me. So I was married for 15 years and I got divorced recently. And so I think, you know, initially in those 15 years, I basically was raising my kids. And it was a lot of giving of myself to the children, to the marriage, and all those things. And then it came to a point where I decided that I kind of had to put myself first. And that didn't necessarily mean that I did not have my kids as the center of my life. It just wasn't the first thing.
Right.
You know, I had to stand up for myself in that and know that regardless, they were still going to be okay through it all because
you're their mom and you love them and you are doing everything in your power to be the best you can. And so they see that it's just like Party and Kindness in that they see how you give to the people around you. And so they're amazing kids and they can't help but be amazing kids because of that, I think. And so I think sometimes we think it's selfish to take care of ourselves, but I actually think it teaches our kids a really good lesson. It teaches them that they should be also taking care of themselves and the people around them. Like both are important.
Definitely. I think it's important because, you know, that saying that you can't give to somebody if your cup is not full, you know? So, you know, I was coming definitely from a place of my cup. I'm giving to everybody. I'm putting everybody's well-being first. And then therefore I'm not taking care of self. And I think that is definitely the best gift that you can give your kids is by showing them you as a full person.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I hope you enjoyed these highlights from my favorite segments across 6 inspiring interviews. I've truly enjoyed kicking off this podcast with you and sharing my message about how giving is the deepest part of who we are and how we can share it with the world in both small and big ways. Your support means so much to me as we embark on this journey together. We have incredible things in store for the new year, including amazing guests who will inspire us to make giving an essential part of our everyday lives. Remember, you can listen to the full episodes on your favorite podcast platforms, where we dive deeper into the magic of giving. I love sharing these stories with you. Until next time, keep spreading kindness and making a difference. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope it sparks a desire in you to dedicate even a small slice of your life to uplifting others. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow me on Instagram at Savvy Giving Gal. You can also visit my website at savvygivinggal.com. Let's spread positivity together.